guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and today we have a knife from Kansept that's actually been around for a while, but and I've always been mildly interested, but the price point had put me off a little bit, and I don't know, it's one of those knives where I'm like, yeah, that's a cool looking knife, but I just didn't end up pulling the trigger on it until in recent times. A couple of places have had these on sale for very, very, very good price points. Like, you know, I think this was like $130 or $140. So there are Civivis that cost that much that are just G10 liner locks. And so this was the price point is what finally got me over the edge on this. And I'm really glad that I pulled the trigger because I was kind of missing out. You guys know that I tend to like really, function over form type of knives where it's a little bit on the tougher side, a little bit on the heavy duty side, feels great in hand. And this really scratches a lot of those, checks a lot of those boxes, I should say. The ergonomics are fantastic. The blade stock is a little thicker, at least 1/8 of an inch. So that's a really nice, welcome, offering, given that a lot of times blades tend to be a little thin these days. Full flat grind, nice and thin behind the edge. And I went with the Tanto just because that was a little more compelling to me. And so this Tanto still has a little bit of a curve there in the tip. This is a really, really interesting knife designed by a French designer, and Pretatout means ready for anything. And so, you know, that kind of describes, it's a pretty hefty utilitarian design. It's got a couple of different deployment options. So let me go over those with you and then we'll grab size and weight. So actually we should back up a little bit. S35 VN, full fuller here, thumb stud, flat grind, stone wash, bearing pivot, titanium liner lock. The clip is not reversible, so this is not lefty friendly, although there may be specifically designed lefty versions of this. All right, lanyard hole, milled pocket clip, which is very nice. And you can see the cutout is on the outside. Finally, deployment options are going to be the flipper tab, the thumb stud, which is rather difficult, but doable. Well, sorry guys, not on video apparently. And spider flick, which is also not going to happen for me on video. There we go. The detent is pretty stiff on this. So for the spidey flick, you're going to kind of come down a little lower on the fuller, which gives you more leverage and makes it a little bit easier to deploy that knife. But it is pretty easy. When I'm not filming, I don't have to think about it at all. I can flick it out every time. Now, I will say I do have to think pretty consistently. I have to pay a little bit of attention to get the thumb stud because the detent is a little stiff. And if you've got your fingers on this at all, it will not deploy with the thumb stud. And if you notice, there's actually more frame lock than there is frame. So you have a very small area where you can put your fingers if you're going to deploy this with thumb stud. So I just really don't do it. In a normal grip, it deploys with the flipper and it deploys with the spidey flick pretty easily. So that's just the way to go. All right. Now, having gotten all that stuff out of the way, the couple things that stand out to me are the ergonomics, which are phenomenal. This knife just grabs your hand back. It feels so secure and so good. Hammer grip, saber grip. There's a little run of jimping right here in the thumb ramp, but then you've also got this little swale that allows you to choke up a little further if you want to do that. All right. So very, very nice in ergonomics. And then the blade, I was also very compelled by. I just find this a really, really nicely balanced blade. It's fairly thick stock. It carries that thickness right out to the tip. So this is a tough utility blade. And that's what I prefer on an EDC knife because as I've said many, many times before, I have lots of kitchen knives for cutting food. And so what I want from an EDC knife is something a little more robust. Size and weight. So let's grab a couple of measurements on here. So this guy is going to be 8 1/4 inches. It's easier to not mess this up this way. 3 and a little more than 1/2 on the blade length. 4 3/4 when closed. cutting edge, I'm not going to roll this over. I know that's a bit of a nicer way to do this, but it's going to be over 3.5 inches, which is plenty of cutting edge. Grip area is also pretty nice at 3 and about 5/8. Okay, finally, let's grab a weight. There we go. 4.2 ounces. Okay, so full titanium frame lock. There is, if you want to take a look in there, some internal milling. I think you can see that. And so they have taken some steps to reduce the weight. And 4.2 ounces is pretty comfortable as far as I'm concerned. I know some of you will want lighter knives than that, but for a titanium frame lock of this size, that's a pretty comfortable size. And for me, you know, anything under 6 ounces, I don't even think about the weight in terms of carrying it around. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is S35VN steel, so very nice steel. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. So first impression is, yeah, I was impressed. When I picked this up, it was because it was such a good price, but then having got this in hand, I'm like, man, I probably should have gotten this earlier. So I'm kind of regretting a little bit that I haven't been able to own this and spend more time with it. Nonetheless, now that I've got it, I'm pretty darn impressed. I will come back in a few months' time with a longer review and discussion. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you soon.